Gonna let everybody in. Great to see everybody. Awesome. Look at everybody jumping in here. So
Busy day.
everybody. I love it. Awesome. Hi, Carolyn. How are you? Good to see you. Ian.
Good.
Great to see you. I just reached out to you. I'm going to put this out there to everybody to see if you would be available next week to share with us.
I responded in a positive fashion, so I'll have to make something up to try and impress you all.
Oh, that'll be easy for you. I am so impressed with everything you are doing right now. It's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's busy, but it's good. Good busy.
Yes, very. Yes.
Can you hear the helicopters going over here? I better turn off. Can you hear that? No?
No, you're all fine.
All I can hear is helicopters.
Okay, so we're jealous because we can't hear them. All right.
Helicopters in this country generally aren't a good thing.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah. Well, we hear them frequently here. Awesome. Bill, good to see you. Hope everything's going good. How's everything? AAM industry?
It's there's a lot of corrections, a lot of movement, but as with everything, there's progress.
Ah, awesome. Awesome. And I see Skip jumping on here. So I was going to do a big shout out. Maybe Skip could just open up and do a shout out for himself. Palm Springs Drum Fest is coming up. Super excited. Can't wait to be there.
Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to jump in and say hi to everybody, and hopefully you're all coming to Palm Springs Drone Fest, because Desi and Sharon are going to have this killer live stream all day long. It's going to be awesome. It's interesting because I can say that literally until about 5 days ago, it was like, you know, those jigsaw puzzles where all the pieces are all over the table and all over the floor. Then your cat jumped on the table and messed everything up, and you're like, oh my God. Pretty much about Sunday afternoon, it was looking like that. And then all of a sudden, Monday, all little pieces came together. So I will be sending out another email to all the people that are speaking and all the vendors for our 5 o'clock today, if you can make it. Because for those of you that are speaking that have been asking for schedules, we got them. For those of you that are wondering about your hotel rooms, we got them. For those of you that are wondering about all the events and where to take photos and airspace, we got them. For all of the television and media, it all started yesterday. We are on a continual crawl on ABC where it says Drone Fest this Friday. We're going to be doing live stuff at the TV station tonight and Thursday night from Street Fair. We are just a whole bunch of podcasts came out that I did like a month or so ago. I almost forgot about them. So they came out. There's all kinds of free passes, VIP passes, discount passes. So if you're in the area, come to this thing. If you're in Southern California, Vegas, Arizona area, come to this thing. Roseanne is speaking. She has been working diligently on her freaking keynote presentation. It's amazing. It's amazing because she didn't even know how to use, I don't think, the keynote program till about 3 days ago, but I looked at it, it's rock solid. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's so much fun. So we shot Esther Anaya's music video out in the desert. She just got back from a 25-city European tour. Thousands and thousands of people. We shot around the Airstream for the VIPs where we're going to do it. We went over the rehearsal. We got these drones coming for Korea that go 187 miles an hour. We got to tune them down to 100. They're these big racing drones. We got the orbs. We got the 1,000 light show. We got TV commercials running today. It's extravaganza. So that's what I got to say about that. As you can, I'm probably, how many? I'm on my 3rd can of Celsius. And I've been kicking it since 6 o'clock. Well, I started working out at 4, but it's boom, every 2 hours. As soon as it crashed, another one. As soon as it crashed, another one. So it's going to be like that for the next week. Oh, food trucks. We have like food trucks. This isn't like a regular expo where you go into that cafeteria and eat that crap that costs $25 a little sandwich. It's all dried out. No. This is like real food trucks. Like we have the taco food truck, and then we have the lobster food truck. All these food trucks. So food's going to be great. VIPs, man. Opening night party, going to kick ass. If you're there Thursday night and you've checked in, oh my God, that's going to be awesome. We have also a special VIP party for the VIPs, who are our speakers, of course, Friday after the event. And then Saturday, there's 50 teams 50 international drone soccer teams, drone racing, drone cinematography. As it's all come together, it's just been crazy. So the podcast came out with me. I've sent it out all over the place. It's a freaking hour and 10 minutes long. Even for me, that's a long time to talk, although it's not so much. I'm sorry to take away from your time. I know this isn't about me, but it is about me right this second, I guess for now. And but if you have an hour and a half to spare, like if you're waiting in line at DMV or you're standing in line at Trader Joe's or you're waiting to get on your flight Thursday, watch it because it's actually I forgot some of the questions that the guy asked me, and they're really really good questions about the industry. So hopefully you'll like the answers that I gave, and that's about it. That's all I got. I just want to see everybody come and have a really good time. Just have fun. There's demos everywhere. It's a hands-on event, a lot of fun. If you got kids, more power to you. Congratulations. But bring them because they'll have fun. So
That sounds like a blast.
that's pretty much all I got.
Very
That's
cool.
all I got.
All right. So I did put a link in our chat for the PalmSpringsDroneFest.com. Check it out because as you just heard, it is going to be phenomenal. If that didn't get your adrenaline going and pumped up and ready to go, I don't know what will, right?
Well, thanks, Skip, for pumping up the crowd. Yeah,
That was
keep it rolling.
Well, you know, it's like I said, for me, it's almost lunchtime. It's only 9 o'clock. So I will let you guys go. I have a busy day today. Got to go to the station. Got to see the sound guys. Got to, whatever. I got to thank you guys so much, Desi. Thank you so much, Sharon. Oh my God, your help has been invaluable, helping me get my speakers. Thank you for all the speakers. I don't know who's on today. We got such a great group of people. It's probably the best in the industry and specifically to their field. And then, of course, I got to thank Roseanne for all the work she's done because if I can't figure out to do it, I'll just say, Roseanne, could you please help me do this? And then Andrew's sitting back over here in the corner. So the team's been good. Everybody's been all hands on deck. I couldn't really be happier. And hopefully when you guys come, you'll get the same experience out of it that I'm getting now. And then and that's about it. So is it rude if I just leave?
Okay.
If I just leave now, will it be rude? If I just left?
I think Michelle understands.
Okay. Michelle, love you. Thank you very much for letting me interrupt.
And we have Roseanne here.
You should come too, Michelle. Everybody here should come. I give everybody VIP pass. Roseanne, hand them out. Okay. I see you guys later. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
With that, we are going to segue over to our spotlight speaker, which is Michelle Madaras. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have her here today. I met her several years ago at the drone industry doing the event, and it's so amazing to see Michelle and what she is doing in the industry. So she's going to share with us today about some of the changes and how we can stay mission ready. And so Michelle with WingXpand, I am going to segue over to you and make you spotlight for everybody. All right.
Well,
thank you for joining.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really good to be reconnected with women in drones. Obviously, we really appreciate this space, appreciate everybody's involvement. It's always great to see women, but supporters of all types come together to really make this community what it is. And I know we wouldn't be here without you all. Just to kind of address, the elephant in the room, I'm actually sitting in my factory. This is not a background. This is where we actually produce a lot of our airframes and UAS and other robotics today. We'll delve into that a little bit more, but there are, I'm sure you all know, right? There are just so many changes that are going on in the industry. At WingXpand, we actually are commercial dual use. So we do serve our military customers as well as commercial enterprise. So folks like public safety, agriculture, survey inspection, those types of things. But we're hearing more and more about NDAA compliance. There are states in the federal government that are looking at different drone regulations. So here, I just want to be able to share a little bit more about how we're seeing that transition in ways we might be able to support you. But this is actively happening in real time. So I've done my best to kind of scour the headlines and see the latest and the greatest of what's coming out with some of these changes to provide those to you. But these are happening moment to moment. So if you see something on a chart and you have a little data or tidbit that isn't captured, this is meant to be a dialogue. So please feel free, jump in. I want to make this a conversation, so don't hesitate to interrupt, okay? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen on my side. And are you guys seeing my screen, full screen?
We see it full screen. We also see all the tabs at the top.
Okay. Is it just the one tab?
It shows the whole link to your Canva address and all,
Oh,
and the HubSpot, all of that.
I'm not sure how to make that go.
It worked perfect a minute ago, right?
Oh.
Also, while she is firing this up, don't put all your information into the chat. Share.
Go ahead and
try again.
All right. And of course, it's there. We go. I'm seeing it full screen on my end. Are you guys?
It's beautiful. Looks fabulous.
Okay. Wonderful. So again, my name is Michelle Madaras. I'm the president and co-founder over here at WingXpand, and we're expanding what's possible with smart robotics. So there is a picture of our X-ray platform. We're excited. We recently unveiled a VTOL kit that goes straight on that fixed wing, makes it a VTOL for more strategic launch and land. If you're looking for that long range, you can actually just use the fixed wing version. We fly about 2 hours with customizable payload. But again, we serve commercial and defense. So that's what we're going to delve into. Here at WingSpan, we build smart robotics that are deployable anywhere at any time. And our mission is to deliver those portable AI-driven robotics to adapt to the needs of evolving security requirements and mission requirements. So today we do that not only on the commercial side of the table, more those civil applications, things we were talking about like agriculture, public safety, inspection, but also the defense side of the table. So today we work with the U.S. Army, the U.S. Air Force, and a little bit of work with the U.S. Navy as well. But a video speaks volumes. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you guys here. So this is our X-ray platform. It goes from a backpack to a full 8-foot flight configuration in a little less than 2 minutes. It quickly is designed to snap together, no needing to plug in a bunch of electronics. As soon as you connect the pieces, you're ready to fly. That was the VTOL kit I was telling you about there, allowing it to do strategic launch and land. If you do decide to hand launch, you literally shake it and throw it like a football, and you're ready to fly for 2 hours with a customizable payload between 1 and 5 pounds. That VTOL actually takes you up to 10 pounds of capability of lift. We do have very high-end cameras and sensors meant for day and night operations, infrared. We can do multispectral, LiDAR. And we also do real-time detection. So things like autonomous vehicle tracking. We do early wildfire spotting. There are a lot of different autonomy and AI-based applications that we continue to build out, which we are able to do through our open systems architecture. We can actually integrate third-party applications onto our airframe. So if you have a particular software or functionality you like, we can import those over to our systems. But again, it just goes to show the need for evolving drone technology. I think we've heard from a lot of folks through our time in building the company that modularity is key, because no one wants to spend a lot of money on a piece of technology and within a year or 2 years, something better and newer has come out, and now all of a sudden you find yourself with an obsolete system. So that's really that adaptability over time is something we really pride ourselves on, and we find is really needed across the spectrum of industries that we serve. So, you know, let's just kind of delve in a little bit more about how we see our users utilizing these systems. So in agriculture, folks are using them to monitor crop health and also irrigation impact. A lot of times you're using just your standard vision cameras, or you can do multispectral that allows you to see across these different bands of light to do more strategic applications for if you're using different types of nitrogen or different additives in your field, you're able to apply those more strategically. As we look at public safety, we're hearing a lot, especially about drones as a first responder. A lot of these systems are really impacting how our first responders safely triage situations and respond to those situations. And also there's that extent of being able to record scenes for evidence sake, for the ability to track that change over time of how a scene continues to evolve. These things are incredibly important. When you look at a system like ours compared to, maybe more of your traditional quadcopters, where we find a lot of folks that gravitate towards more of a system like ours is when they're looking for those long flight times for continuous operations as a scene is evolving, as opposed to, putting something up in the air. You have this kind of timeline, if you will, this kind of deadline of when you have to be able to kind of respond to those situations. That flexibility to have like that 2 hours of flight time during a given situation is really impactful that we hear from our customers. Utility, that's another great application. Whenever you think of long linear flights, an example there would be we can cover about 1,000 acres in one single flight from a single battery. If you need to swap out batteries to continue that mission set, you just quickly pop in that new battery. It takes about 30 seconds, and then you can be back up in the air. This is really important for some of those long mapping capabilities, because a lot of times, and I'm sure you guys have experienced firsthand, if you're doing a larger project, you really need to make sure that you have enough overlay and redundancy in the data that you're capturing to be able to pick up in the same spot. So this is a really nice benefit of having some of those longer flight times, is that you get to have that continuous coverage without that interruption of landing a drone, having to get out your SD card or swap out your batteries and then get it back up in the air and then hope you start in the right spot when you begin again. Another part about this is the versatility of the cameras, especially in the inspection space. Having that modular payload, we hear, is a real benefit. What we find ourselves doing more on the defense side of the spectrum is a lot of surveillance capabilities. So they call that ISR, or intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. We are doing a lot of perimeter security work. One of the bases that we work at is actually 35,000 acres. So we work with the team there to be able to do full round-the-clock coverage of that site. We're actually also doing real-time detection and alerting of threats. So in this particular area, they are prone to wildfires. And so actually there's a computer on board the aircraft that is doing these real-time automatic AI detections. And so what it does is it sends a picture and a coordinate to the operator and says, hey, I think I've spotted this. How do you want me to proceed? And so that way they can use this information to triage the scene better, help make sure they're clearing out personnel that may be in the area, or, victims that may be in the area, to be able to make sure that they're triaging appropriately. This is a really big thing. I know a lot of folks have been impacted by this firsthand, and we are seeing the need out there for more highly capable robotics that are easy to use and rapidly deployable. This also speaks to another thing that we're also seeing, not only on the defense side, but really on the commercial side as well, is that multi-mission utility. So you can't just, anymore, a lot of folks that we see aren't just buying one drone that can do one thing. It really does need to open the aperture of what you're able to do, because out in the field, it may look different minute by minute, and you need a workhorse to work alongside you that is able to deliver these types of multi-tools and multi-capabilities. However,
we
please,
do
is there a
actually
question?
already have comments and questions coming into our chat.
Please.
If you wanted to address some of those before we move forward, we kind of mentioned it.
Can I?
You can
Sure.
leave the screen up if you want. You can leave the screen up if you'd like. So the first one that came in was from Dave about, are you using RDoPilot?
So we are using a common open system stack. It's not RDoPilot. However, we did put they call it a customized wrapper around it. So we build out additional functionalities that are more specific to our platforms and our robotics. Great question.
Awesome.
You don't want to describe what it is?
It's another open system standard that's really common in the industry.
Understood.
Awesome. So we also have other questions. You might have kind of addressed this one already about the batteries or fossil fuels. You did, but what is the propulsion?
So the battery is lithium ion, and actually it's really interesting. So that space has continued to evolve out there. There are actually new chemistries that are coming on the market. And so as, you know, that's a great example of, as the technology continues to advance, we make sure that we're evolving right alongside with it. So we're actually testing out new battery chemistries that'll be able to continue to increase our range over time.
Awesome. Yeah. When you
Carolyn, congrats on the new role.
Yeah. What about the obstacle avoidance and the power lines for inspections and, you know, the wires and guide wires and all?
Yeah, so great question there. So we are a bit bigger of a system. We're about 8 feet wide. So we do fly a lot higher than most typical systems, but we do have additional sensors, micro lidar around the aircraft to be able to do some of the seeing and sensing of what's around you. Of course, you know, compliance with other remote ID type requirements. But a lot of that works into not only the sensors that we have on board, but the software that we build in as well to help with mitigate some of that those obstacles.
Awesome. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up the questions at this point. Feel free to put questions into our chat. We'd love to hear them.
And I'm worried if I click this full screen one more time, you guys are gonna. All right. So I did want to talk about briefly, you know, we are seeing a lot of changes within the industry itself. Oops, sorry, this just popped back to not full screen for me. Are you guys seeing that now, full screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. We are seeing a lot of dynamic changes out there towards regulations. So at a very high level, right? Folks that are getting funding either from the state or from the federal government, oftentimes if they get funding for their drones, there are changing requirements that are coming along with that. And so NDAA compliance, or the National Defense Authorization Act, has dictated a lot of these, that no critical parts can come from foreign adversaries. And I'm sure I don't have to tell you all some of the implications of that, and drones that have been produced in adversary origin. There are some very recent changes that are happening. So I did want to kind of just call this to your attention. I'm curious to learn, are you all being impacted? Are you seeing others in the community being impacted? I know there are a lot of, you know, opinions either way. I wanted to focus in on what these changes are and how they are continuing to evolve, because it is such a rapid rate. I know one of these states is actively considering different funding out there to replace some of these systems. But again, a lot of times this impacts organizations and agencies that are getting state money from one of these states listed, or federal dollars. So, for example, the federal government, by the end of this year, they're looking at banning Chinese drones and then having a requirement to replace with US systems. Again, that's more at the agency and organizational level. It's not your typical commercial operators that are doing private customer work. Florida is one of those states that is banning not only the purchases, but the use of these Chinese drones. And then they are also requiring US drones as a replacement there. Arkansas, this is very, very recent. They're looking at phasing out their current fleets by 2027. And then there would be a requirement there again to go to US drones. I'm going to hop down a little bit further here. North Dakota is one of the first that I've heard of that they're actually introducing some funding opportunities out there to replace some of these systems. Now that is still very much in the works. I believe it's going through the state to go through some of these things. So I in my opinion, funding for these entities that are often very limited budgets, limited personnel, they can find it hard to replace their current fleets. But there are some programs and opportunities out there for folks that are looking to replace some of these systems at the organization or agency level. Again, this all continues to evolve in real time. But I'd love to turn it over to you and hear, have you guys started to see some of this? Are you experiencing this with any of your customers kind of as a ripple effect down the line? I think this is a very critical thing that is happening for our community right now.
Yes, and there's been comments into our chat. Karina said very impacted right away. She posted into our chat about it. Jean Marie says not yet, but it's in the future. It's looking like it's in the future. And then David said, I believe the NDAA ban on Chinese drones and components is due to an into effect after the 1 year from signing. And it only goes into effect if one of 6 national security agencies fail to declare no national security issue with a specifically covered country company. Then Arkady asked another question in here. It looks like, what is your perception on the fact that there is not enough supply for NDAA or blue compliant drones? All of the US manufacturers do not have the capacity and therefore going to put a strain and I've got click in the way, both on production and also on the agencies who now have dependency on the tech. What is your perception?
Yeah, and I know this is a very polarizing topic, and I'll just share a little bit very quickly on my origin story of like how I found myself in the drone community. So I was a television news reporter for about a decade. And about during that same time was the first time I really started seeing drones being used in newsrooms. So we were going out to these scenes, whether it was floodings or fires or, covering agriculture stories or, construction stories. And I started seeing folks out in the field using drone technology just like we were. But what we often found was, we were trying to get video of, let's call it like a tornado disaster site. Well, you may not have communications in the field because there may not be any infrastructure. Maybe that's been wiped out, right? The cameras on them, not super great, especially at that time period for, high quality, like what we were trying to use for news purposes. And what we found was these just really, really short flight times. Like if I couldn't get it within the 15 to 20 minutes that thing was up in the sky, like I missed that shot. Bad day for me as a journalist, right? Some of these things, but I was trying to use it in a professional sense. Much worse day for the first responders that found themselves trying to use this kind of tool that as more of like a professional to be able to save lives, right? And so that was really the niche in this market that we were trying to fill. Now, fast forward to today, we do support, like I mentioned, both sides of those markets. We've actually gone through the vetting process for NDAA compliance with the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. Those are all independent entities. So mind you, the layers and the processes of how that works, it is very difficult. It's very tedious. We had to go through every single critical component, be able to list them all out, be able to show their countries of origin, and those are for to try to make it as simple as possible, right? Anything that connects to things that process data. So, like, for instance, your camera, we do have a computer on board. Some of these critical technologies that are touching data that is very sensitive. Now, I can very much see both sides of the coin there, which is people need this capability. I think they've realized the value that these capabilities can provide. Drone technology is a life-saving asset. At the same time, there are threats that are out there. We've actually, some of the military groups that we've worked with have shared this type of data data security issues. Without going into too much detail there, I can't really delve into a lot more, but there very much so are security risks involved with some of these systems. And as you take that data off a drone and then put it into an overarching network, that can be very dangerous. And there are concerns out there with what can happen to our infrastructure as a country. There are concerns there, and that's why this stuff is happening. Now, to touch a little bit more on production, we are building our drones here in the U.S. We assemble them here in the U.S. We use NDAA, or National Defense Authorization Act components. Not all are from the United States, but as many as we can, we try to get from the US. We also do a lot of vertical integration. Today we are at mid-rate production. However, at the higher end of the scale, we will be able to produce thousands of units a day. So I do think that there actually is the ability to produce these systems at scale here in the US. It more so is a timing thing. We understand that the defense need is there. You just need to flip on the news. We understand why there is a need there. I think on the commercial side, you're starting to see that happen, but realize that budget at the end of the day is a very, very critical part of that. And actually, we as a company are very excited to unveil a new, more cost-effective version for our commercial enterprise clients that you'll see at Exponential. I don't want to get into a ton of the details here. We are excited about that big announcement we'll make at Exponential, but this is to really get at the heart and the crux of this problem, where you're seeing more organizations and more drone users on the commercial enterprise clients side that are seeing a need for NDAA compliance. We're looking to cater to that market because we realize how important these systems are to you and how impactful they are in the field in trying to make these more readily available at competitive price points while still being secure. And so without going into too much more on this chart specifically, I know I didn't speak to it, but I wanted to address some of the questions that were hanging out there. More capability, future-proofed, having that AI portion so that you're not staring at a video screen for hours is really important, especially as you start seeing some of those longer flight times. And that ability to evolve over time, that's really what we pride ourselves on here at WingXpand. Do you have some questions out there?
Just more comments along the lines, but not anything specific as far as a question. So feel free to put questions into our chat if you have any questions for Michelle.
Wonderful. And so drone businesses are changing, right? As these regulations continue to shift, they are reshaping the industry. you're seeing that a lot on the public safety side. You are starting to, we're just having a conversation yesterday with an energy company. Although they didn't have like a quote unquote requirement, they are looking at using more of these NDAA compliant systems, because even from their data security standpoint, they are willing to invest in the products that will keep their data and their customers' data secure. Some of these agencies are companies are transitioning their fleets over, trying to look for things that are secure, yet also they have to be a return on investment at the end of the day. And being able to make these systems at a rate where you can actually bring down the cost of those systems and spread them to everyone, that's where we think a lot of future success in this market will come, because then you'll have a higher rate of adoption. There's no denying today, I think a lot of what we're seeing on the enterprise side is very cost driven, and to be able to decrease the cost of these systems will allow that balloon of the market to get bigger. However, we do think it's important, and we are starting to see from our customer base that folks that are shifting into these more highly capable and secure systems tend to be going after these larger resourced projects. And that's really a driver for a lot of these folks. Like, what can you cover and what can you do that something with this amount of flight time and this amount of autonomy can actually produce value out in the field? Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of us are humans that are running robots instead of working alongside robots and having the robots help us. So I think that's a very exciting place to be in the space. We're excited to be a part of that, not only from, making the UAS themselves, but that software layer that makes them easy to use and more impactful out in the field. So with that, I'd love to change it over and talk to any questions. And then I do have a couple discussion topics if you guys are interested.
Awesome. So I did actually put in our chat your link to wingexpand.com, but also some LinkedIn links for you as well. And then your big announcement is going to be at Exponential, you said. So excited. We'll be looking forward to hearing that as well. Karina just asked about, are you planning to open more factories and shops? Great question.
Yeah, great question. So we have an office today. I'm sitting in our manufacturing facility here in St. Louis, Missouri. And then we also have an office in Boston. So this is where we do more of our production level engineering. And then in Boston, we do a bit more of our R&D work. We're actually going to be setting up a third location in the Chicagoland area that I'm very excited about, and I can finally talk about a little bit more publicly. And so that'll be an area where we'll be expanding our footprint for higher rate.
Wow. Carolyn said Boston. All right.
Yeah. So if people are familiar with the area, we're in Andover. So don't be a stranger. If you're in the area, we'd love to give you a tour if you find yourself in St. Louis or in Boston.
Awesome. So if you'd like, you can drop your screen share down and we could just kind of have some conversation. And you had some discussion stuff that you wanted to share with people? Where in
say
Chicago?
That one more time. So we're looking near O'Hare Airport, if you're familiar with the area. We're working through the final things with the communities there before we can really say our community, but we're going to be by the O'Hare Airport.
Wow.
So I do have a couple questions that I kind of typed out for us. How have recent drone regulations affected your operations or purchasing decisions, or have they not yet? I think some of you guys were touching on this.
Awesome. Yes. So I know we had some conversation earlier in our chat about, yes, it has made an impact on it. And so if anyone has anything that they'd like to share, open up the mic, tell us a story. We'd love to hear from you right now. What has happened? How has this affected your operations? And so I know one of the people was Karina, so I'd like to just call her out. If you're in a position to open up your mic, Karina, share us a little bit about how it's affected your operations.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hi, Michelle. Karina here. So we've had I work for various startups, and a common thread I can talk about is that, the supply was mostly from China or non-ally sources. And so that just seems to be the bottleneck, and the pricing. So let's say we open up some type of, or even use an existing manufacturer here. It's just the pricing is outrageous, and it would jack up the prices for our customers. So it's just this cycle of pricing and sourcing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do a lot of vertical integration for exactly that reason. And we have looked at sort of how do you hit scale while also being competitive on that price. I think for us, it is that the fact that we are so modular does not make us dependent on one single supplier for one single component. Instead, it really does allow us to kind of file in the options, if you will, that still allow us to meet our baseline system requirements to deliver those products out in the field.
Awesome. Awesome. You had talked a little bit about the backpack version that you have and such like that. Can you share a little bit more about some of the expansion process? It was kind of exciting to see how you just throw it into a backpack, but I can't imagine how heavy it is or how light it is, right? And then when it expands out, how much assembly is actually required?
Yeah, so you actually saw me assemble it in that video there. So no kidding, it goes from the backpack through the full 8-foot flight configuration in a little less than 2 minutes. So no kidding, it just kind of snaps together. I'll actually, hang on one quick second. There's nothing like a demo.
Oh, we love demos. Yes.
So no kidding. Are you guys seeing this? So click.
Yeah, I'm gonna make
click. You're ready to go. So
yes,
it's all really.
Here. You saw it here.
So we often describe it, if you remember that lightsaber toy where you kind of flick it and it expands out, it's very similar. So actually some of our customers, right, especially on the military side, they are required to assemble the system in the dark without night vision goggles on. And we had to work with a team to do that. They actually all did it in the first pass in the dark, which is hard. And I can't say like me as a typical user, I'm like out there, doing this. But I do think it just kind of speaks to how easy we really designed the system to be from sort of the ground up, like not only how you make it, but how you quickly assemble it and that user experience. It should be just as easy to work as the cell phone in your pocket.
Wow. Wow. Obviously, assembling it fast it is, right? So we have a couple questions in our chat. Do you offer educational discounts?
So today we are, like I said, we're excited to roll out that more cost-effective version of the aircraft. In terms of educational specifically, not today. However, we do look for opportunities to continue to collaborate and work together in partnerships. We've actually started engaging some universities that are doing drone programs. And so we've looked at creative ways where, we can help with on the aircraft side and help on the training side. We do have a training curriculum that has gone through DoD approval. and then we take that kind of core training curriculum and use that in the enterprise space as well.
Awesome. So we have a question in the chat
Yeah.
about price point, and I'm going to throw in also availability.
So we are starting to be a little bit more transparent about the pricing. I think a lot of people are finding that you go on these websites and you're like, well, I don't know, is it is it $1 million? Is it $10? And there's a kind of a spectrum out there. We are about, with our aerospace grade composite version that I just showed you, we are about half the cost of traditional mid-range systems that are in the space. And then our new version that we're excited to share a little bit more with you about at Exponential is about a third of the cost of traditional systems of that caliber within the space. And so part of the reason that is our ability to be able to vertically integrate these things and then be able to make them at mass.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about the camera systems and the payload?
Sure. So we do have a wide range of payloads out there. We do an EO/IR, so electro-optical infrared, so like more of your standard vision, and then IR to help with some of that night vision or thermal needs. We can do multispectral, so that's the one that sees across different bands of light. A lot of times that is used in more agriculture-based applications. There are also some interesting use cases out there for more ecological reasons. And then some more DoD-specific reasons why they're using multispectral. We can support LiDAR. And then we can also support like mapping payloads, more like your DSLRs for survey grade missions.
Sounds very functional across platforms. Awesome.
Yeah, and I know somebody, I think you had asked, how heavy is the system? So the full system in its fixed wing configuration weighs about 12 pounds total weight. So it is very light. I know, I had the opportunity to meet some of you in person. I'm a very short person, actually. I'm only about 5'2", and so I know it sounds like a big old airplane. But I'm able to hand launch it as well. We really did design the system so it was meant to be easy to launch, no matter your height or your strength. You can go ahead and get this sucker up in the air. Also, that VTOL kit also helps if you find yourself not wanting to do fixed wing. But one of the benefits, obviously, with fixed wing is you don't have that added weight of the VTOL. So you do get longer flight times. Wonderful.
Did we lose Desi?
I don't know. I just saw something. We may have
Whoopsies.
just lost her.
Well,
That's okay.
Yeah, it looks
It's-
like you could looks like we lost. She's coming back.
There
on.
she is. There she is. There she is.
Your sound is
Good to
off.
hear from you, Sheila.
I got bumped out.
Oh no.
Oh, so I missed the whole comment. Sorry about that. Not sure why. Okay, so we had a lot of comments and questions into our chat. So I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that everyone was able to get their comments and questions addressed. And sorry about getting bumped out there. I know
that's all right.
Reed had mentioned that there are about 4 schools that are looking to add fixed wing, and so
Yeah, we'd be very excited to connect with them. I have my email here. Please feel free to send me an invite, or if you guys have other connections worth exploring, please feel free. We are really open to collaboration efforts, whether that's on the more of like the payload side or the software side, helping out at some of the schools that are looking to start up some of these programs. We do have our own in-house training curriculum and pilots to be able to provide some of these services. So if you hear of something that you think a platform like ours may be a good fit for, we're happy to explore opportunities to work together.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. I had a question about, there's one more in here about, I had a question about airlines and the transporting the batteries. And I didn't, I guess, circle back to that one. So can you address, transporting?
Yes, that is a great question. So there are limits on the size of battery that you're allowed to take on the plane on a airliner. However, there aren't as many restrictions around how many at that quantity that you can have. So ultimately, I know a lot of folks in the space, they end up doing like small partition battery packs that they then connect together to equal what they need to operate the system. A lot of what we do is we'll, like, if we know we have an event, let's say coming up, we'll actually mail those batteries ground so that they arrive before us and we can get there and get the batteries safely through shipping, just so there are no issues and obviously, no safety concerns with then bringing them on an airplane. However, one of the things I will say is like we've gone through a special training that we had to do with how shipments work. So we do have some extra shipping certifications as a company on how we can get these more effectively to our customers in short time frames. You're able to do different types of transport styles with the types of certifications that we have.
Awesome. So she asked about international, shipping them internationally. Has there been any precautions or extra steps that you've had to take?
To date, no. We haven't had any issues in that area. I think it's very country dependent, so it really would, you're going to have to do your research based on, I think, where you're going if it's about somewhere specifically.
Yeah, Angela. So are you trying to ship this particular drone or drones in general that you are having questions about?
So currently, separate from the college that I work at, sometimes I'll VO for a friend of mine with Bat Conservation International. And so they do work all over the world. And so there's been some issues with in the past with shipment of batteries and things like that. Now we have kind of a system that we do domestically, but there's also locations that they want to fly internationally. And so as somebody who's spending a bunch of money on aircraft and batteries and all and that those kinds of things, like that's one of the questions that's asked up front. And so just kind of, and yeah, place to place is different, but I just kind of seeing if that's been an issue.
Yeah, so a lot of what we've seen today, and I think it is a very good point to bring up. So our system is not ITAR. So there's an international trade regulation that we fall. We are not restricted by ITAR, meaning we can send this to non-adversary countries. This is an evolving list that's published on, I think it's the State Department website, don't quote me on that, but it's like an evolving list of people that America currently views as an adversary. So we can't send it to any of those countries. You can probably guess who they are, right? Like that we can't share our technology with. But there are a lot of countries, obviously, internationally that we can share our technology with. And more so because we are not just a defense product, we are a commercial dual use product, which does allow us for that exportability. Now, in terms of batteries, I think it's very key to kind of figure out like where you're going. Even ourselves, like if we are traveling somewhere, oftentimes we just find that like if driving is a possibility, we do that. We can do freight. That's another option. We have a certain certification where we can send batteries by mail. Now, as an end user, I think you'd have to get that like a similar certification to what we had received through through the like the shipping um, regulatory authorities. That would be how I probably would address it. But the cheapest and fastest way that we've seen today is there are a lot of freight carriers that will allow you to send those batteries back and forth if you're not physically making the journey, maybe with your aircraft yourself.
Fantastic. DOT for shipping training. There you go.
You know what? I'm sure I can ask my teammate. He's actually the one that went through that training. I'm not exactly sure who was the authority on that. I know we often work with like your typical like FedEx and UPS. And so we've gotten those approvals. Now I don't know if it was higher up beyond that, but he did have to take some training and some courses on how to handle batteries appropriately.
Oh, that's a great course to just take. You know,
Yeah. I will say it was about like $1,500, so it's not cheap.
not cheap, but definitely essential. You know, there's a lot of disregard when you think about the batteries and how they're just tossed into a container, and you know, you just need to take good care of them. So she said, thank you. Yeah, all right. Great information. Great question, too. So I want to wrap it up with any last comments or anything that you would like to share. I know we're coming up on the top of the hour, so we're so appreciative for all the knowledge that you shared with us. But do you have any last comments that you want to share with us?
I just appreciate all of your interest and all of your questions. I think that's something that makes this space really great, is that we all have unique and different backgrounds and perspectives, which allows us to, build better technology across industries. And so if you guys have some specific use cases that you're getting after, that you're interested in, we love to kind of ideate alongside the interesting people in this space that know what they do day to day better than we ever could. And I think seeing how that technology can be applied to those problems is what is so exciting, and what I find so exciting about the drone space. I will leave you with one example I got recently, which was somebody called us because they have a requirement. They must monitor eagles' nests on the base that they're at to make sure that there's no pollution and they're not aggravating the eagles. Well, if you would have asked me if my drone would be used to go monitor eagles' nests on an army base, I would have said no. But that's the whole thing, is like, you don't know about the capabilities or the problems people are trying to solve until they come to you. And so then, we were working with this person to try to figure out, well, what is the best camera for doing this? And you also need to be quiet. So how far of a standoff distance should we have? And so those are the types of things that really excite me. And I know our engineers, because those are, fun problems to try to solve. And so please reach out if I can be of service or of help to any of you throughout your journey. But thank you so much for being a part of mine.
Awesome.
Michelle, was it a regular camera or was it LiDAR for the eagles? What did you determine?
So actually we did infrared, because part of it is like the heat signature that they're looking off the eggs. And so you can switch over between EO, your regular vision, and then that IR component to check vitality.
I love that. Love wrapping it up on a great story, because it changes every day, and you just are amazed. Even though you've been in the industry for so long, you go, wow, there's still people doing new things,
There are.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it. I'll throw my email again in the chat.
Awesome. I did put your website in there. I had a couple comments that they saved it. A lot of people saying thank you. Thank you for sharing, and I look forward to hearing the big announcement there at Exponential in Houston. All right, so I did put a link in there for that as well. So thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.